You're listening to Briargrave Radio, horror stories from the places the map forgot. I don't remember when the footsteps started. I only remember the first night I realized they weren't coming from the hallway, or the ceiling, or the apartment next door. They were coming from inside my head, at least that's what it felt like. It began as a soft tapping, barely audible, like someone pacing slowly across a wooden floor. Except my apartment doesn't have wooden floors. It's all cheap laminate and tile. No creaks, no give, no sound when you walk unless you're trying to make one. But these footsteps were unmistakable. Slow, heavy, deliberate. I sat up in bed holding my breath, listening. The sound moved from the living room to the kitchen, then paused. I waited for the next step, but instead I felt something else. A faint vibration behind my eyes, like the footsteps were echoing inside my skull. I pressed my palms to my temples. The footsteps stopped. I told myself it was stress. I'd been working late, barely sleeping, eating whatever I could grab on the way home. My brain was probably misfiring, filling in silence with noise. It happens. People hear phantom sounds all the time, ringing, buzzing, humming. But footsteps? That was new. The next night, they came back. This time, they were louder, closer. I could feel them more than hear them. A dull thud that seemed to pulse behind my forehead. I got out of bed and walked into the living room, half expecting to find someone standing there. Nothing. Just the dim glow of the streetlight leaking through the blinds. But the moment I stepped into the room, the footsteps stopped, and the silence that followed felt wrong. Too heavy, too expectant, like the apartment was holding its breath. I turned on every light, checked every corner, opened every closet. Nothing. No signs of forced entry. No footprints. No shadows that didn't belong. But when I went back to bed and closed my eyes, the footsteps started again. This time, they were behind me. I spun around so fast I nearly fell out of bed. The room was empty, but the footsteps didn't stop. They kept pacing, circling, moving in a slow, deliberate pattern. And the whole time, the vibration behind my eyes grew stronger. I didn't sleep that night, or the night after. By the end of the week, I was hearing the footsteps even during the day. Soft at first, like someone walking in the apartment above me, except I live on the top floor. Then louder, like someone pacing in the next room. Except the sound didn't match the space. It didn't echo right. It didn't feel external. It felt internal, like the footsteps were walking through a memory, or through me. I tried everything. White noise, music, earplugs, sleeping pills. Nothing helped. The footsteps always found their way back, always at the edge of hearing, always just close enough to make my skin crawl. One night, I recorded the sound on my phone. I set it on the nightstand, hit record, and waited. The footsteps came right on schedule. Slow, steady, circling the bed. In the morning, I played the recording back. Silence. Not even background noise. It was like the microphone hadn't picked up anything at all. But I had heard it. I had felt it. I knew I wasn't imagining it. That's when I started noticing other things. Objects weren't where I left them. My keys moved from the counter to the couch. A glass I'd washed and set upside down was suddenly upright. My bedroom door, which I always closed at night, was open in the morning. And the footsteps, they were changing. They weren't pacing anymore. They were following. Every time I walked through the apartment, I felt them behind me. Not loud, not obvious. Just a faint pressure in my skull, like someone was matching my steps half a beat behind. I'd stop walking. The pressure would stop. I'd take one step. The pressure would return. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't want to hear the word hallucination. I didn't want to be told I was losing my mind. Because deep down, I wasn't sure that was wrong. But then something happened that made me realize this wasn't just in my head. Or if it was, it wasn't only in my head. 2 nights ago, I woke up to the sound of footsteps running, not walking, running across the apartment. Fast, heavy, panicked. They moved from the living room to the kitchen to the hallway in seconds. I sat up, heart pounding, listening. The footsteps stopped right outside my bedroom door. I held my breath. The doorknob turned. Slowly. Deliberately. I stared at it, frozen, waiting for the door to open. It didn't. Instead, the footsteps started again. But this time, they weren't in the apartment. They were inside my head, loud, violent. Like someone was sprinting through my skull, slamming into the walls of my mind. I clutched my head, squeezing my eyes shut, trying to make it stop. And then, just as suddenly as they started, the footsteps stopped. The silence that followed was worse, because in that silence I heard something else. A voice. Faint, distant, coming from somewhere deep inside me. It said one word, a name. My name. I opened my eyes. The bedroom door was open. I didn't open it, and I wasn't alone. I couldn't see anyone, but I could feel them, standing just behind me, close enough that the air felt different, heavy, charged. I didn't turn around. I couldn't, because the footsteps had started again, slow, soft, inside my head. But this time, they weren't pacing. They were approaching. The footsteps kept coming. Slow, steady, deliberate. Each one pulsed behind my eyes like a heartbeat that didn't belong to me. I pressed my palms to my temples, trying to block it out, but the sound only grew clearer, closer. I could feel the presence behind me, not touching, not breathing, just there, like a weight in the air. I didn't want to turn around. I didn't want to see what was standing so close I could feel the temperature shift. But the footsteps weren't stopping. They were right at the edge of my mind now, like someone was walking through a memory I'd forgotten I had. I forced myself to stand. My legs shook. The room felt tilted, like gravity was pulling me in the wrong direction. I took one step toward the door. The footsteps took one step with me. I froze. The presence froze too. I took a breath, then another step. The footsteps followed, not echoing, not delayed, perfectly synchronized, like something was inside me, wearing my movements like a suit. I stumbled into the hallway, gripping the wall to steady myself. The apartment was dark except for the faint glow from the kitchen. I could see the outline of the counter, the sink, the fridge. Everything looked normal, ordinary, but the air felt wrong. Thick, heavy, like the atmosphere before a storm. I whispered, "Who's there?" The footsteps stopped. Silence. Then, from somewhere deep inside my skull, a soft tapping began. Not footsteps this time, something lighter, faster, like fingers drumming on a table. Tap, 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 tap. I pressed my back against the wall, sliding down until I was sitting on the floor. My breathing was shallow. My vision blurred at the edges. The tapping grew louder, more insistent, like it was trying to get my attention. Tap, 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 tap. Then it stopped. And a voice, faint, distant, like it was coming from the bottom of a well, whispered a single word. Open. I didn't know what it meant. Open what? A door? A memory? My eyes drifted to the hallway closet, the one I never used, the one that always felt colder than the rest of the apartment. The doorknob twitched, just a tiny movement, like someone inside was testing it. I crawled backward, my hands shaking. No, I whispered. No, no, no. The doorknob turned again, slowly, deliberately. I scrambled to my feet and backed into the living room. The footsteps returned, not behind me this time, but all around me, circling, pacing, moving through the walls, the floor, the air. My head throbbed with each step. I clutched my temples. Stop! Everything went silent, completely silent, the kind of silence that feels alive. Then the closet door creaked open, just an inch, enough to see darkness inside, enough to feel something shift in the air, enough to hear the faintest whisper drift out. Remember. My stomach dropped. That word again. The same word I'd heard in the dream. The same word that had echoed in my mind for days. The same word that felt like a key, turning in a lock I didn't know existed. I stepped toward the closet. One step. Two. The air grew colder. My breath came out in a thin white cloud. I reached out and touched the door. The wood was freezing, like it had been sitting outside in winter. I pushed it open. The closet was empty. Just coats, boxes, old shoes. But the moment I looked inside, the footsteps exploded in my head, loud, violent, like someone sprinting straight at me. I staggered backward, clutching my skull, gasping. And then a memory hit me. Not a vision, not a hallucination. A memory. I was a kid again, standing in a hallway, hearing footsteps behind me. Slow, heavy. My father's footsteps. The ones I used to dread. The ones that meant he'd been drinking again. I remembered hiding in a closet. This closet. I remembered holding my breath while he paced outside, muttering, slurring, searching for me. I remembered the fear, the kind that burrows into your bones and never leaves. I remembered the footsteps. I remembered the voice. I remembered everything. The footsteps in my head weren't new. They were old, buried, waiting. I sank to the floor, shaking. The apartment felt different now. Not haunted, not possessed, just familiar, like it had been trying to show me something, or make me face something I'd spent years trying to forget. The footsteps softened, slowed, faded. The pressure behind my eyes eased. The presence behind me lifted. I sat there for a long time, breathing, letting the memory settle. The apartment was quiet, still, normal. But as I stood up and closed the closet door, I heard one last sound. A single step. Not in my head, not in the apartment, somewhere in between. A reminder, a warning. Or maybe just a part of me I'd finally stopped running from. I don't know if the footsteps will come back. I don't know if they were ever paranormal, or if they were just the echo of a childhood fear that never really left. All I know is that the apartment feels different now, and so do I. But sometimes, late at night, when the world is quiet and my thoughts get too loud, I swear I can still hear it. One step, soft, slow, waiting. This has been Briargrave Radio. If tonight's story stayed with you, subscribe before the next signal comes through. And remember, not every place wants to be found.